Learning how to self-discipline yourself is like a shot of endorphins. It feels so good and it has a snowball effect because it builds upon itself. As you practice and start small habits of self-discipline, then it slowly increases and builds, and then the bigger tasks you can tackle. The important thing is learning how the brain or mind works and what techniques work to discipline yourself and what techniques don't work. What I found is willpower, New Year's resolutions, sudden emotional rushes of I'm going to change, I'm going to do this, and it's fed by emotional high or an emotional rush, trying to force yourself to do something based on emotions, I find doesn't work. And in fact, it does harm because it diminishes our power for future self discipline. Because what we do is we set a goal, we try to discipline ourselves, we fail. And then we do it again, we fail. Do it again, we fail. And we lose trust or faith in ourselves, like someone, a friend, or somebody you know that doesn't keep their word. You lose confidence in their ability to do what they're going to say. And we are the same way with ourselves. Some of us have lost all faith and confidence in our own word. So when we say we're going to do something, we might when we say it have good intentions, but the follow through is the problem. So the first thing is to learn proper techniques and not make these rush or rash, unplanned, illogical, doomed for failure type of goals. The problem, the first problem is people need to analyze their motivation. They need to say, am I really motivated to do this? It's like if you want to buy a new car, a new house, or something expensive, you have to look at your bank account and say, am I willing to make the sacrifice and part with that money in order to get the huge LED television or whatever, a new computer. And that's why we don't go out and buy whatever we want, because we don't want to sacrifice. We might want it, it might look pretty, you might say it's great, but deep down inside we don't want it bad enough to make the sacrifice. And the first place is just look at your level of motivation. That will save so much effort and grief, because if you want something, you have to suffer. You have to sacrifice. You have to give up immediate short term pleasure. It's just, it's a trade off. And most of us don't want to do that. We enjoy surfing the internet, watching television, hanging out, drinking beers. And so we need to be honest with ourselves. I was remember talking to an athlete. He was a high school athlete. I think he was a football player, quarterback. I don't remember his position, and he was scouted by colleges and was very successful at his craft. And he said, you know, while his buddies were out drinking on the weekends and partying and chasing girls, he was training, he was running, he was improving his craft, and he sacrificed. And some of you just might not want to sacrifice. So just be honest with yourself. The next thing is removing temptation. There was there's a story of there's a video on YouTube about the kids with the M&Ms. I think I talked about this in the other video, and the experiment in short is the psychologist would put 5 M&Ms on the plate for the children, and he would tell them, if you don't eat the M&Ms, I'm going to leave the room, and if you don't eat the M&Ms, when I come back, I will give you 10 M&Ms. I will double it. And it's funny to see how these children struggle to not eat the M&Ms. One of the effective strategies some of the children did is not even to look at the M&M. So they would distract themselves, look here, sing, whistle, hum, but try not to look at the temptation. And if food is our temptation, if the television, if the computer, whatever our temptation that distracts us from our goal, we need to remove it so it's not even possible, or that it's even inconvenient to access. If you like surfing the internet, for example, I was reading about the 20-second rule, that if something takes more than 20 seconds, you won't do it. So if someone's a smoker and they put their cigarettes in the garage where they have to get up on a ladder in order to get it, it will diminish the frequency in which they smoke. Probably won't eliminate it, but it will diminish it because you put an obstacle between you and your temptation. And so that's the next thing to do, is removing your temptation. So if you're a writer and you struggle with the phone calls or the television or surfing the internet, you go to the library or go to a place where you're not going to have those temptations, or just get rid of your television or put it in a different room. There are many options you can do, but having the temptation accessible is just torturous and wastes so much energy because we have to fight. You're using willpower, and as you use willpower is not a never-ending muscle. You exhaust it, and you use all this willpower to fight the temptation when it's far easier to remove the temptation. And interesting enough, the children that didn't eat the M&Ms later on in life, that waited to get 10 M&Ms instead of the 5, turned out, the study followed them and they turned out to be more successful, get better grades in school and things like that. So the ability to delay gratification is so essential in feeling good about ourselves. And I think that's one of the things is why people are, we feel miserable or feel unhappy. One of the culprits is just pure, simple lack of self-discipline. So practicing that. The next mistake people make is they set the goal too high. So if someone says, I want to lose weight, and that's their goal, and they're determined, and it's the new year, and they're sick of being fat, they're looking in the mirror, and they're disgusted with themselves, and they have all this emotional energy pushing them towards that goal. And maybe you can do it for a week, 2 weeks, maybe even up to a month, and they'll go to the gym and they'll work out 2 hours a day. They'll get a trainer, and the whole 9 yards. Maybe they'll work out every day and just gung ho, and it's like burning a candle at both ends. Eventually, they burn themselves out. So setting small, bite-sized, achievable goals and building habit. You can't build a habit when you bite off more than you can chew. So starting off with small, simple, easy to achieve. So the mind or the brain or the ingrained behavior of avoidance, of not exercising, of not eating healthy, is not triggered. You set something too big, it's like the red flag goes off and you're, I don't want to do that. The sacrifice is too great. And making it something as simple, I'm going to go to the gym for 15 minutes, 10 minutes. The first week I'm going, or first month, I'm just going 10 minutes. And I'm going to go 3 times per week. And now that's the way the brain works. You start ingraining it or training the brain to be receptive or agreeable to this new habit you're trying to inure in your mind. So bite size chunks. Break the habit down. That's something that is countable, achievable, and you can track it. That's the next thing, is you want to be able to have some type of system to track your progress. There's something called the Jerry Seinfeld technique of don't break the chain, where he would put an X by every day he wrote, and he would not want to break the chain, so he'd want it consistent, 10, 15, 20 days that he moved in the direction towards his goal. And so you could have something like that where You spend 10 minutes, you went to the gym and you just put it, there's apps, there's websites that for free that you can do that will track the progress of your goal. And it's really important to track it. What gets written down and accounted for gets done. And when we leave things up in the air, it's so easy to procrastinate, it's so easy to get sidetracked. But when something is scheduled and you have a plan to accomplish it, it's much, much better. And so taking big goals, if the goal is to lose 100 pounds, taking big goals and just making them small, bite-size morsels that are easy to achieve. So, not saying, okay, this first month I'm going to lose 10 pounds. You need to map out how that's going to happen. So, for example, I'm only going to eat fruit for breakfast, or I'm not going to eat past 6 o'clock. I'm going to eat 50% of my meal is going to consume is going to be vegetables. The next thing is there's a really good program, radio program called Radiolab, and one of their episodes was called Help, and it talks about these issues of how to build self discipline and new habits. It was very interesting. They talked about this lady who smoked all her life, and she could not give up smoking. No matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't do it. And she kept on saying, okay, I'm going to stop smoking, and she would try and eventually just go back to smoking. And this pattern continued for some time. Finally, she said, I told her friend, if you see me smoke again, I will donate $5,000 to an organization she can't stand. So she said, I'm going to donate $5,000 to the KKK. And ever since she did that, she has never touched a cigarette. And this is how the brain works, is it gravitates towards immediate gratification, the instant pleasure. So it's hard to see the long-term benefit in the now. And it's hard for the mind or the brain to weigh it. And that's why we make so many poor decisions, is because the immediate pleasure outweighs, or we're under the illusion that the immediate pleasure outweighs the long-term consequence or benefit. So it's hard for the brain to wrap its mind around sacrificing the now for some future reward or punishment. So what this technique did for her is the $5,000. It took something that was distant in the future of her dying of cancer or whatever all the negative consequences of smoking, and made it immediate. And the immediate punishment or the immediate cost would be the $5,000 to an organization she can't stand. And that works. It's a way to trick the mind into making long-term things immediate. And there's a great website that I was searching around for this, and I found a website called Stick, STIKK .com. And what that website does is you set in your goal or the new habit that you want to achieve, and you put in your credit card information, and you choose a charity, either a charity you like or a charity you don't like. For example, if you don't like the NRA, you could donate to the NRA, and using that as a motivation. And so you'll track your habits or your goal, and as you do it, if you don't follow through, you set up what the parameters are, and if you don't follow through or you don't achieve your goal, then automatically your credit card gets billed and you make a donation to that charity. And furthermore, it also has an accountability partner. You can have someone that will hold you accountable to follow through with your goal and that you do make this donation. So very, very effective way to do that, because most of the time things are just swirling in our heads that we want to do this, we want to do that, and we have all these dreams and we don't accomplish it, and then we beat ourselves up. We beat ourselves up for it. And this just creates a self-defeating cycle that it just sucks the life out of us, sucks all our esteem about ourselves, our ability to, our belief in ourselves that we can achieve things. The next thing is, um, I talked about writing down, but having a to-do list. It's amazing. Some people that are busy, and even people that are not busy, a to-do list is very effective because how we plan our day should not be, oh, okay, today I think I'm going to decide to do this, or uh, I'll do this and I'll do that, and maybe I won't do this and I will do that, and it's really haphazard, and we get pulled into what is urgent but not important. And we want to have a balance in our life. There are some things urgent that we need to take care of, but we want to balance our lives and focus also on the things that are long term, that are not urgent, but are extremely important. So if that means saving money or getting training for a new job that you want, or building your self-confidence to find a relationship, or whatever it is, getting healthy, at the time they might not seem urgent, but it's the long term. They're very, very important. And when you have a to-do list, I put everything in my iPhone, an app called To Do, the number 2DO. It's the best that I've found. And what what happens is that you take your day and you can prioritize. So you put a goal, you break that goal down into baby steps, and then you could start planning, okay, on this day I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, and you put it in order. This is priority, the high priority, this is, middle priority, and this is low priority. And then you just pick up your phone. You don't even have to think about what you need to do. You just automatically do it. And it's really gratifying to see the items get ticked off. You just check them off and you check them off, and you see each time you check it off, you're one step closer towards achieving your goal. Very rewarding, and also conserves your mental energy. We just waste so much mental energy in thinking about what we should do and feeling guilty and pressuring ourselves and stressing and thinking what if and I should and I shouldn't. Instead, you just pick up your phone. Okay, what do I need to do today? Boom, 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 and you just march right through the tasks without all that effort. Um, those, I'm sure you guys, those are some things that I found helpful, because I did a video called The Joy of Self-Discipline, and there seemed to be some more questions. Uh, People realize self-discipline is good, it's rewarding, but how do we get self-discipline? And like anything, it's a habit that you learn, and to be patient with yourself. You don't run the marathon the first day of training. You don't run 26 miles the first day you start training. You start training small, and then you steadily uh, build upon that. And that's the same thing with habit patterns, which is really exciting because it means no matter how lazy we think we are, how undisciplined, how overweight, how unmotivated we are, we actually can achieve uh, our dreams. Oh, I forgot one more thing. The last technique that really has probably been one of the most important for me and the most influential is called the Pomodoro timer. And I read a website, and I'll put the link up, and I'll put some links to the things I'm talking about in the video description. But I read this guy's website, and I used to do the Pomodoro timer, which is a work cycle where you work 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. Work 25 minutes and 5-minute break. And they have apps and websites that will do the timer for you. And then I read this guy's website where it's called the 30-30 work cycle. And it blew me away. So effective that I got more accomplished in 3 hours than what used to take me five hours. And what this is that you work focused work without distraction, without interruption on your task for 30 minutes. And then the the timer will go off, a bell will ding, and you take a break for 30 minutes. And during that break, you could go get something to eat, take a nap, take a shower, watch TV, surf the internet. That time is yours to do whatever you want. And as soon as that bell goes off, 30 minutes, you're back on focused task. Now, I realize this is not going to work for some people, especially if you're at work, but this is something I found at home. Other projects or other tasks I'm trying to accomplish, really, really effective. Even for something like simplification, if you're trying to simplify your possessions, uh, focused 30-minute work and either selling stuff, getting rid of stuff, and then taking a 30-minute break. And I think that's the way the mind responds best. Um, Either one, under pressure, like the students that cram for the test, or the last night or the last 2 nights, or um, letting your mind know that it's going to be rewarded. It's not long term. I think that's what kind of overwhelms us, is that tasks seem or goals seem so overwhelming that it's hard to get the ball rolling. It's hard to get that motivation. With the 30-30 work cycle, or and breaking things down, it's a lot more inspiring because you know you're just taking one bite at a time. It's the saying, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you're being rewarded afterwards. So, really helpful, um, beneficial, and you feel so good. The after effect of being self disciplined, you just feel happier, you feel more confident, you feel like you could achieve and accomplish more things, and you enjoy the journey. I think that's the most important thing, is not the end goal, but the journey. And one last thing, okay, I know I keep saying that, but one last thing is, any goal, look at what is the motivation behind it. Is it for ego? Like people that want to be an actor or actress, are they doing that because they are passionate and love their craft and would do small town theater because for free, or for a small amount of money because they loved it? Or are they doing it because of the ego and the fame and the adulation and things like that? And one of the greatest ways to, because we all have this desire, we want to be great at something, we want to be accomplished, is just finding what you love to do, finding what you're passionate about, and then doing that, and not forcing yourself to do things that you, aside from earning a living, maybe you have to go to your job, but maybe you can transition into a new line of field slowly by doing what you love to do. That, I realize that's not always possible. And for the people that will write, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know what my calling is. Not everybody has a calling. Not everybody has a destiny. Not everybody needs to be great at something. Make your passion getting going within, knowing yourself, um, being content, being fulfilled, enjoying your life. My passion for the longest time was traveling, and I just absolutely loved to travel. And so your passion doesn't always have to lead to a financial uh, payout, and most of the time it won't. But it's a gift that we can give other people when we do what we love. And it really saddens me to when I go places and to see the joy sucked out of people because they're not doing what they love. They're just going through the motions. And that's not living. It's slowly dying. Your soul and spirit is slowly dying. So we can reawaken that spark in just huge forest fires are started by one little match and cause this massive fire. And it's the same thing on the positive side. That same thing can happen within you, just finding the spark and continuing to stoke the spark, to blow on the spark, to give the spark life. And then slowly, without you knowing it, you start moving in the direction of the person you want to become. And it's the journey is just fantastic. Forget about the end destination. Just the evolution of the person you become is reward in itself. Thanks for listening.